Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ha, Rekakwadash Mama. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and their elders. Double honors to my apostle and elder as well, Aharawan Banyasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp here in Jacksonville, Florida. And salutations to the fellow Akim, Atwakim, and Banyam, children that believe in truth and sincerity. So, brother, I thank y'all are back to another lesson in Yahweh Tazah's edifying. And it's pretty much I want to go into the book of Matthew 6 and verse 9, being the point when it goes into the Lord's Prayer. Just ultimately highlighting the fact on how our Father, all right, even when we go into the Paleo-Hebrew, when we say the Lord's Prayer, like Passover, solemn assemblies, or just, praying to the Lord, using the Paleo-Hebrew and how we know we even close, we the closest as far as to the ancient tongue, the Lashawan Quadash on this side, pertaining to the language as well. How we'll say Abba Nawa, right? Meaning our Father, and how our is possessive, right? How Esau even teach you that in his circular, his English, so to speak, when it comes to words and the learning of words, the meaning of words, stuff like that. But he says our is possessive, meaning it pertains to. So he's the God of the Bible, the God of heaven and earth, the God of, the creator of all things, the God of all nations. But he's our Father, all right? What we can call him our Father, meaning possessive, man, meaning that peculiar people, that peculiar treasure that he made holy, set apart, all right, like himself. Also, this lesson stemming from a Facebook group, all right, how these people are still stumbling on the Gentiles, right, and how we are thankful for having this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, all right, of how the Lord operates, how he works, his understanding, his judgments, right, his righteousness, man, all right, his balance upon a humanity, so to speak, his whole perspective and his intentions, right, on humanity. Ultimately, we have the insight of that with his wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, man, being that he's our Father, and the rest of these nations, these heathens, all right, are fatherless nations, all right, meaning bastards, right, heathens. But here in Matthew 6, and I'll start at verse 1 just to get the context, but it says, just giving to the poor in prayer. And it says, take heed that you do not your alms before men to be seen of them, otherwise ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. And this is 2/3 of our people in the circular churches, as well as these other different denominations, these religions. That's how they operate, all right? Even especially in, the Christian church, the so-called Christian church today. It'll be, hey, such and such gave us $1 million check, or this, that, and the third. They operate in that manner when you supposed to be done in what it teach you, what the scriptures teach you, discretion, right? That's where you create equity, so on and so forth, through this wisdom and knowledge, man. You don't really supposed to know who in cahoots on the back end unless you in cahoots, so to speak, right? Just making things an announcement, letting your left hand know what your right hand doing, so to speak, especially when it comes to finances, right? But that's how these people operate in the flesh. These children of men, they have no decency. It's all about showboating, being prideful, right? But not denying themselves, so they operate in that manner. You can see it. You can see it through the spirit, But it says here in verse 3, it says, but when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be seen, be in secret, Salakia. And thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly, right? And that's where the faith come in at, the faith building come in at, because you don't do it off the sake of the gain of what men give you, which is the carnal gain, which is a temporal gain, the feeling of, feeling good or feeling high and mighty or over, just having power by a way of a fleshly thing. You want the power through the spirit of knowing that the Lord is going to reward you for doing something good. And that's where your faith comes into play. Your faith get built up even within that, so it's like little things like that. So it's power within this truth. It's power within this understanding to where it creates decency in man, right? When it's activated, it's wisdom, and then it's understanding, right? Where the understanding is you putting it into play, all right? But it says here in verse 5, when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward, right? And that's not like teaching the truth on the streets like how we do, but that's them, bumping their heads, having the little sheets out there, just really making the whole scene, acting as if they're, having some form of power, but power is within knowledge. Power is within truth, right? Rightly dividing the word of it, the word of truth, right? Speaking it, dissecting it and being able to speak it. Again, operating on not just 5 senses, but those extra 2, the whole 7 senses, being complete through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? Again, the Urim and the Thummim, the wisdom, knowledge, and then is the understanding, all right? So it's like, it says here in verse 6, but when thou, and again, the point is in verse 9. It's just a quick read, but this is just warming up, getting into the lesson. But it says, but thou, when thou prayest, enter in thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, right? It's our Father, thy is possessive again, so, hey, so much for, a Father's Day, all right? We worship the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, all right, and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, daily, by a knowing and entering in this truth and coming into the knowing of, all right, especially putting your hand on that plow. We know we have a Father which is in heaven, which trumps all things, all right? We have a big brother making intercessions on his behalf, all right, on our behalf, all right? But when thou prayest, use not vain repetitions, verse 7, as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking, right? Even 2/3 of our people caught up in that madness, thinking they speak in tongues and gibberish, blah, 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 and they saying a whole bunch of nothing, all right? They go up in church and give sermons, and they say a whole bunch of nothing, all right? They swallow a camel and strain out a net, all right? They can't read the scripture and break it down and line upon line, here a little, there a little, all right? And be skillful with the word, they can't do that. Again, they're not filled with the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. That's ultimately going to be filled in the elect in these times, all right? That's going to turn the true worshipers that worship Him in spirit and in truth, the true sons of God, all right? That's gonna lead them to ultimately return back to the Father, all right, as He once had His face hid unto us, all right? So again, it's about the redemption of His people, all right, His cluster of the grapes that He's gonna redeem from this place, all right? That's written in the book of life, all right? And Yahweh Ratazah, we're part of that number by once being in the know, all right? But you have what? 2/3 of our people who's not in the know, those who cast away from once being in the know, who are gonna get a judgment, all right? So it's all about enduring, all right? No servant's greater than his master, all right? And that's our big brother Yahweh Shai. He had to endure and go through the persecutions and the trials and tribulations, ultimately to be redeemed, all right? And that's why we seeking that like adoption, all right, as sons, all right? That's why we call upon our Father, man, Abba Father, all right? And that's what we're going to get into But it says here in Matthew 6:8, be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Right. So you don't even need to do all that, basically. All right. Just keep your faith, and keep doing the work. All right. Ultimately, teach a man so. All right. Because if you love the Lord, you're gonna love his word. You're gonna do his word to the best of your ability, and you go teach man so. All right. For the love of, man, for the sake of, man. All right, because it's within you. All right, this is ultimately what we're here to do. This is the work. This is life. This is us living. It says here, after this manner, therefore pray ye, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Right, our Father. You know, Matthew 6, our Father. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. And that's what we ought to pray. That's what they pray in the churches, but they'll have no understanding of, right? The kingdom is going to come here on earth, man. It's going to be established here. All right. But hey, before the Lord establish his kingdom, his righteous kingdom, this wicked system has to be done away with. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're witnessing. That's what is a part of the scriptures. All right. Lamentations, mournings, and woes. All right. Destruction. That's how you reset things. All right. By what? Breaking it down. Demolition. And then you build up. All right. Especially if you're talking about building eternity. All right. You look at what exists. It has to be. Hey, this is basically trash. All right. That's going to be done away with easily to establish forever eternity, which is already established. All right. This is the speck. This is the stain that has to be removed for eternity to be brought forth. All right, to flourish through. All right. The median. This is the, From here I want to get the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14, and verse 2. Well, I start at verse 1. The clean and unclean animals. It say, ye are the children of the Lord, your God. Right, yours possessive. Your God, your power. God meaning power. Ye shall not cut yourselves, right? God, Allah, that means power. All right? Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. Right, and this is the point in verse 2. We are a holy people, again, be set apart unto the Lord thy power, right? And the Lord have chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. So upon all the nations, all the families of people upon the earth, he chose the nation of Israel, all right? From Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, all right? And Jacob wrestled with an angel and he became Israel. And he begot 12 sons, which ultimately represents the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 nations that amount to that one united nation of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, the Lord's people. All right. Not, many different shades of color. All right. Because color is a distinction, but it's not everything. All right. The Lord heritage is of a speckled bird. So you got to try the spirit by the spirit. Is due to the mix and mingling of the past captivities, you don't know who is who. Even people who look like you ain't of Israel, all right? All Israel, not of Israel. Twofold. Physically and spiritually. So, again, it's crazy. It's under the unclean animals and clean animals, but it says what? We are a holy people unto the Lord thy God. Let's get some Strong's Concordance, some etymology. Look up some words. Holy from the Hebrew.
Strong's H, 6918. Kadosh. Kadosh. Second entry.
All right.
Kadosh.
Sacred, holy one.
Kadosh.
Saint. Set apart. Right. So to be set apart. So we're morally to be set apart. We ceremonially to be set apart. So we're not to do what they do. We don't worship how they worship. They don't even know what worship is. They just going through the motions from 325 AD, where religion was created for all these people to have a form of God, to dumb down your righteousness. All right, this is the lie pertaining to Hosea 4 and 6. Our people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. This is the lie that's been put forth throughout the four corners of the earth, because the Lord wanted to hide his face from us because of our disobedience. All right. So he put these people in power with a lie, ultimately to take them out, anytime he won't. Right. That's what the scriptures say. He says, he who let until he be taken out of the way, roughly paraphrasing. But the Lord belonged to us, even pertaining to what the Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 54, how the world was made for our sakes. But as for the other people, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 147 and verse 19, to get a point. And it says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, right? His statutes, again, in Jacob later changed his name to Israel. So he showeth his word unto Israel, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel, right? Again, he have not dealt so with any nation. As for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord, right? So this is how we identify as the people, man. He has not done so with any nation, man. We resort to the curses. We understand we went through the curses. We the one went through the house of bondage again with ships after coming out of Egypt, right? The land of Mizraim by way of Moses, right? As he delivered all of Israel in that time. But in this time, this second Egypt, right, which is spiritually Sodom and Gomorrah, which is other captivities in the past. This is the Roman Empire, the revamped Roman Empire through the Treaty of Rome. All right, this is Babylon the Great. All right, this is that great city the scriptures speak about. All right, he go take them out. All right, from establishing on that lie, he go take them out by that lie. All right, that iniquity, that wicked root. Again, that root was planted unrighteously. All right, as the wicked. All right, so the multitude got to perish that were born in vain, roughly paraphrasing, right? So he has not done so with any nation, man. So when we identify other to the curses is us, we understand that we have the lot that was similar to the Lord, to the Messiah, man. We have that lot, all right, persecuted, right, in this Constitution written 3/5 of a man, all right. We having no might in this society because this is not our rest, all right. The Lord has something else better for us, something else more of the liking in store, all right, for real men, for the patient, for the diligent, again, for the righteous, man, who's seeking a new heaven and a new earth, right? So these people, they want the Lord to come and save everybody, which is confusion. It's too much denominations here. It's too many different mindsets to even save everybody. That's impossible. Nobody ever be on the same page when it comes to righteousness in this realm. There's no way to even be righteous to 100% in this society because, again, the wicked root built it off a lie. He built it unjustly. So, but again, 2/3 of our people, they fall into that condemnation, man. They love it here. So where you try to explain it to them, what the Gentiles mean, that's too much. That becomes meat for them. Because they're spiritually dead, all right? They're vegetables when you look at it. So they gotta be fed through a tube. This is Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 28. Then shall they know that I am the Lord, their power, right, God, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen, right? But I have gathered them unto their own land and have left none of them any more there, right? Neither will I hide my face any more of them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, saith the Lord God, right? So the Lord poured out his spirit upon us by what Abba Bivens, right? You know, he turned our faces back to the Father. You know, he was the one crying in the wilderness as we cry today, all right, as sons, man, crying unto the Father with the hope of salvation, being of the a scene, you know, not the zealots, right, who ran into Masada, right, not being Sakari, not the zealots, not the listeners, and not the wicked scribes and Pharisees, man, all right, but the Essene, having the understanding of what the Lord is doing pertaining to his will, what he's doing pertaining to judgment upon the earth, while the earth is taking the course that it's taking today pertaining to finances, economically, the weather changes, the people being hard on each other, all right, even harder, right, because it's wickedness ruling, all right, so the people are in mourning, all right, we're at the end of a kingdom, the end of a regime, so the pressure is becoming great, ultimately, because what this devil is trying to build that pressure upon the people to come with the solution, right? His Hegelian dialect, which is ultimately the Lord's test. It's the Lord's driven this devil into his misery, all right? As he drove him to set up the kingdom as the basis of men with a lie, as how he's going out with violence. That's what's violence, right? So it's about the redemption of the elect, the Lord's people, and the peculiar treasure, all right, the grape of the cluster within the Lord's people that's going to return unto him in these times, all right. Verse 29, it says what? Neither will I hide my face anymore from them, i.e. what? Having the names, having that seal, right? That secret, that secret, the secret spoken of in John chapter 17 that's been given to the heavenly, from the Father to the Son, right? The son that was born of Joseph and Mary, right? Through a spiritual adoption, the anointed son of the Heavenly Father, right? But he even go deeper than that. King David's son, the first spirit created, Melchizedek, the father of the changing of the priesthood, right? So on and so forth. The first Adam. So going from what the sin of Adam to being renewed, right? As Yahweh Shah he became complete through his work, and that's ultimately the course that we're on, and that's what give us more motivation to continue on it, because we're almost there. We're almost to completion. All right, this devil system is almost out of the way, and then comes the completion, man. The new bodies, all right, the change, the destruction of this place. Death swallowed in victory, man. Wickedness is abolished, being perfect. But it's about being perfect within this truth first, right? Through this word, having an understanding of that, hey, what the term world means pertaining to John 3 and 16. All right, what the term Gentile means. And that's what the gift that the people of the world don't have, man. And it's so simple, but it goes over their head because they lack the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. They haven't been given that gift, right? That gift of faith, that gift to believe. But this is Romans chapter 8 and verse 14. This is Romans 8 and 12. Therefore, brethren, we are debtors, not to the flesh, to live after the flesh. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live, right? No matter how you can, no matter what you gotta do, whether you gotta enter lame, meaning crippled, do it. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live, right? You shall live, man. And you do that through Ezekiel 37, the valley of the dry bones. We've been given that. Hey, the muscles, the sinews, looking like Israelites, and then the breath, right? Putting on the laws, starting to put on, the customs of Israelites, surnaming ourselves, and then it's the breath, rightly dividing the word of truth, it's the study, the constant building that relationship with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? And constantly indulging in the word, dealing with Sophia. Because, again, it's a debt we can't ever really repay back. So the more you indulge in the word and through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the more you more likely will increase. The Lord will more likely keep you. Say verse 14, for as many are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again to fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father, right? Again, we going through the same course and walk and affliction as the master, Yahweh Shai, big brother, right? Who the world ignorantly calls JC. So we want that adoption. We want that same adoptions to be anointed. Through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, crowned as the elect. It says the Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahweh, right? And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, right, Yahweh, and joint heirs with Yahweh Shai, Mashiach, right? If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together, right? All completed the course. All having the same affliction. Having similar testimonies, hating wickedness, no longer wanting to be living amongst it, a part of it, you know what I'm saying? Let alone living amongst it, But these people don't have that mindset. They not crying, Abba, Father. They Hail and Mary with beads in their hands. They again, you look at these different sects and denominations, none of their doctrine lines up with the scriptures, with the God of the Bible, with the creator of heaven and earth, man, with what they claim to believe in. They not calling out Abba Hawa now, Abba Father, our Father. They not doing that, which shows that spiritually, subconsciously, if you want to say it, but if it's subconsciously, it's pretty much spiritually. Spiritually, they're not belonging to. Even 2/3 of our people. This is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel, right? And set them in their own land, right? And they fighting over that for no reason. The scriptures speak on this: a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. Again, the fatherless nation shall dwell in Ashdod, the holy city, which is Jerusalem now, right? As it was then, but it's what they label it, the state of Israel. And the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, right? And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, And the house of Israel should possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. Right, because it was a question within that group of, you believe all nations are supposed to be servants and handmaids. Like, roughly, like, you know what I'm saying? As if, like, it's something wrong. Like, they did it, but they wasn't supposed to do it. It's wrong, and it ain't never go happen again. No, every kingdom needs slaves. But the thing is, the scriptures say that servants shall be upon horses, meaning, like, the times that we living in now, right, that the biblical days talked about before time, right, to where we're in those times today, 2,000 plus odd years later or so, that's just from the Roman, what? Yeah, that's just from, like, shit, from the Roman Empire, really, the beginning of it to now. From BC, like, Greek, right? That era. From the Roman Empire, that's 2026 AD versus we talking about when religion was created was 325 AD. So again, like that, the Roman Empire is 2,000 years plus, you know? So we talking about before then, where these things were established, where the Lord forewarned us, you know? To where we in these times now, to where what servants was going to be upon horses. They even have the statue, which is relics represent the historical proof, the physical proof, like the lost Lunad stones, the walls and tunnels of Hezekiah. Like, these things are physical proof that the history existed. All right. So 2,000 plus odd years later, we still see the physical proof, which would be relics of the statue of Andrew Jackson, next to the Gadite that's on the ground holding the horse as Andrew Jackson is upon it. Now we know who was the real cowboy, right? The indigenous people, the tribe of Gad and Reuben, right? Mainly. But again, the Lord said he's go yet choose Israel, right? And the strangers that is talking about here, it says in verse 2, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, who captives they were. Right, in this Old Testament, this unfulfilled prophecy, as even if this particular time period was done away with, history repeats itself. The Lord changed not. All right, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed, as the scriptures say. All right, so it's going to be a time where this devil's going to be done away with again. The Lord, he will not who let until he be taken out of the way. That's spoken of in Habakkuk or 2 Thessalonians. Forgive me. But it says, we go take them captives who captives they were, lining up with Revelations, right? New Testament, also unfulfilled prophecy, more so pertaining to the time period. John on the island of Patmos talking to the future Revelations, the revealing of times that we're in today. Again, of Revelations 13, verse 9 to 10, of those who lead in captivity shall go into captivity. All right, all thus saith the Lord. But this is what they're scared of. This is why nobody wants to be a heathen today in these end times. Everybody want to be a child of God. Everybody want to be blend in when daddy about to come back home. As the brother, the car lesson, the brothers was speaking on, the bishops of the brother was speaking on this past lesson. All right, that's how 2/3 of our people, that's how Jake act, and that's how the heathen act. You know, just been utterly disrespectful and disobedient, and now daddy coming back home, You done created a mess that you know you're not going to be able to fix in time. It's unfixable. So you're going to have to pay for the consequences. All right? But those who he belonging to, all right, they have a chance of redemption. Again, he go set them in their own land. He go bring back their captivity, all right, because salvation is for them. Again, saved, to be saved out of a trap. This whole society, this whole system was set up as a trap, as a chastisement for them, for his people. Again, belonging to. All right, so there is a separation. All right. So again, every time you try to make one language or everybody like mine, just like the time of Nimrod, the Tower of Babel, during the BCs, all right, even then, the Lord is going to put an indignation to it because the Lord is about separatism. He's separate, all right, and it's a standard that's been missing upon the face of the earth, and that's why the whole earth is out of wax, all right? There is a peculiar people, and it's not you, all right? There's a heavenly Father. There's a God of all nations, but he's a father to the nation of Israel. All right, Shalom, Hapathah, DTA to the next one.